Hello everybody, my name is Rob Lynch. I am a junior and I work for the Joint Study. Going to be giving you an overview of vSphere. So just some IP addresses to remember. vSphere is going to be on 10.10.7.41. Your gateway is going to be on 10.10.7.1. And your two DNSs are going to be 10.12.1.11 and 10.12.1.12. Alright, so let's get into it. Alright, so I have vSphere loaded up. So we're going to get in onto the FAT client. So we're going to start by logging in. So I have a test user, which is going to be very similar to what you guys have. So right here, we can either hit ignore and it will go straight in, or if we don't want this message to pop up again, we can hit install and ignore. So next time we log in, it won't pop up. So we'll get loaded in. Now that we're in the Pureflex server, we can go in and view. It might pop up like this, which is the home page. So what we're going to get started in is we're going to hit VMs and templates. We're going to drop down this here. We're going to drop down a little bit more, capping, and I put myself in this group here and for REs. So I'm going to hit my folder, and you can see in my folder I can create a new VM right here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new VM. Now for this instance, we're going to create a Linux VM. So I'm going to name it. I'm actually going to name it Linux Test. So right here, I've got to click this 10.10.7.30. You can hit next. We're going to put it in capping VM. And I'm going to choose. So I'm going to hit Linux, and I'm going to use Ubuntu and the 64-bit. I'm going to hit next. This is good for the VM network. The adapter is also good. We're going to want to make sure that it is connected on power on, which it should be by default. I'm going to hit next. So I'm going to leave it at 16 gigs virtual disk space. Very, very important. We want it thin provisioning. We don't want thick at all. We want thin. So I'm going to hit next. This looks good. So next, I'm going to make sure that this is checked. You don't need this checked immediately, but I will show you how to get to it. This just makes it a little easier, so I'm going to make sure that that's checked, and I'm going to hit continue. So next is going to bring up this settings right here. So for Linux, we're going to use 2 gigabytes of RAM. The CPU is good. I'm going to add another core. Now some have asked what the difference is between sockets and cores. Virtual sockets are actual CPUs, where virtual cores are the cores in the CPUs. You guys are not allowed to have multiple CPUs, but you are allowed to have multiple cores. So for Linux, it's going to be 2 cores. For Windows, it's 4 cores. We're going to go into CD drive here for our ISO file. So we want to hit data store ISO file and browse. We're going to hit capping VM, ISO, and then we're going to find the one that we want. So I'm going to scroll down and find Ubuntu. This is Ubuntu server. I want to do Ubuntu desktop. It really doesn't matter. You guys can research the difference between the two, but just for this demonstration, I'm going to do desktop. So I'm going to finish this and continue. Now, if you didn't check that mark after we had finished completing it and it had opened that screen that we were just on, we're going to right click here and hit edit settings, and it's the same thing here. So we're going to go in, we can check. One thing I forgot to mention, we want this connected at power on. If we don't, we're not going to be able to load into our VM. So make sure it's connected at power on. So we're going to hit OK. And then we're going to start up our VM. Alright, so now that our VM is powered on, we're going to go over to console here. Here I'm going to want to continue to install Ubuntu. I'm going to go ahead and continue. I want to erase the disk. I'm going to hit continue again. And then here's where I'm going to create. I'm just going to make myself test. And the password again. Test. So I'm going to continue through. Now I will come back when this is all done. Alright, so now that it's finished installing, it's giving me a restart message. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so now we've come back up and it says please remove the installation media. So we're going to go ahead and hit enter. Should boot us in. Now while it is doing this, we are going to right click, head down to edit settings, and we just want to click to client device. So that way when it boots, it will no longer try to get that ISO. Alright, so we can log in. And once we're logged in, we can edit the network settings. So we are going to open up network settings, go over to network. We're going to drag this screen over up here, hit options, and here's where we're going to set our IP. So over in IPv4 settings, we're going to hit that, and we're going to hit method. We're going to go to manual and add an address. So everyone should have their IP range with a 24 for our net mask, and then our router. Next we're going to go to the DNS, and we're going to save. And once we do that, we should be connected. We can check real quick going into the browser here. So that's great. We're all connected. So now if we want to delete this VM, we're going to go back over to getting started. We're going to power it off. We are going to right click on it, and we're going to delete from disk. And just like that, we've created our VM and we have deleted it.